Hello guys. I am filming not from my usual space, which is exciting because I'm at the beach. My oldest daughter called and was like, hey, I want to go down to the beach because her husband was working. My husband had a lot of work stuff going on. She was like, let's run away. Let's go to the beach for a couple days. So I'm at the beach with beach hair. She's sitting outside reading and doing some of her own work. I thought this would be a great time to film a YouTube video. And this video is, I will go ahead and say it, this video is it's a response, which I think I can actually tag her. I think I can tag her, but this is a video response to Amanda's comment. I replied online, but then I thought, you know what? Let's just do a whole video about this. And I took notes and I have all my things here because I'm going to show you guys. Yes, I bring my journals with me everywhere I go. So this is the bag, which you guys have seen a million times. Becca C. Smith, which is one of my favorite AuthorTube friends, made me this practical magic bag, and I take it with me everywhere. I will leave you guys her YouTube channel below because she's amazing. But I'm getting at a few things for this video because Amanda's comment really moved me and like stood out to me. I don't have the actual comment. I should have written down her actual comment, but she asked about whether or not, or what I do, because she too journals for therapy and clarity type things. And she asked if I was worried or concerned or scared about other people reading my journals, specifically after I've passed, like my children. So I had a few things I wanted to mention in regards to this, because I didn't feel like I could give justice by replying to her. So I replied and mentioned how, okay, where do I start? So I have mixed feelings currently, and I have been through a lot. I think if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, my answer would be different. But currently, I feel like I want to be authentic 100% with my children. My children know that I struggled with depression. My children know that I struggled with anxiety, which then in turn, when my daughters, which both of them have struggled, one has struggled more than the other, but when they did struggle, they knew I had been there. So that allowed them to come to me and talk about things with me. We are very much an open communication family. Sometimes I feel like it swings way over to the extreme side, but that's just who we are. That's how we choose to parent. So I currently feel like I don't feel hindered when it comes to my journals, because I want them to know that their mother was real, just like they are. Even my journals that I keep to my grandkids, even the letters, there are letters in there when I'm really struggling with a child. I know for a fact there's one to my son that, like, I used sticky notes, and it wasn't venting in a way that was unhealthy, but it was like, you are grounded for life. We're taking away this, we're taking away that, we're taking away that. And the truth is, he remembers, because when we sat down with him and had this conversation that his life was over, which it wasn't really, but when we had that conversation, he remembers the Post-it notes, he remembers the conversations. So it's kind of like a memory book for him. And even in my journal, when they go to my journal and they flip through, if he gets to those pages where I'm frustrated at what he was, and let me just say, I'm not singling him out. All of my kids have been in trouble. All of them have gone through drama. They're wonderful children. And the drama I think it's just like a marriage. When you go through hell, you end up coming out stronger. And that's how our relationship with our kids has been so far. So when we go through hell with them, we end up coming out stronger together. So I'll preface that. So I'm not worried about my children or anything finding it, but I will say that there are things that I would recommend if you are a journaler who you do have concerns and it does hinder you. I also have talked to my husband about, if I pass, he can do whatever he wants with the journals. Those are his. More like, if we pass together, I haven't thought about that. We do ride motorcycles together, so I need to probably have that conversation. But if something happens to me, he gets the journals. And if he wants to allow someone to read them, he needs to proof them first. That is one rule that I have had with my husband. So, because I do talk, there are certain things in there, not with my children, but there are certain conversations or things that I have vented about certain people that may be interested in reading my journals. And I have told him, like, you just need to read through them and make sure that I'm not going to hurt anyone. I mean, I'm gone, so it's not like I'm going to care, but that's just one agreement. So talk to someone who is over those things, if that did happen, and share what you would like for them to do. You may end up saying, which I actually, when we moved into the RV, I wanted to burn all my journals. I had made a huge shift in my faith, and I was done with them. And my husband stopped me. He said, please don't. Like, that's part of our story. Why would we erase our story? And I'm a tattoo girl, so he did say, you always talk about tattoos, how tattoos are a scrapbook of events and special things in your life. So why would you, like, you'd never get a tattoo removed because it tells you a certain story. So why would you throw away a journal? So I didn't burn them. Those were one of those things that we sent and had saved while we were in the RV. Anyhow, back on topic. There are things that I would recommend. So talk to whoever's going to be left in charge if that is a concern once you're gone. I also want to mention, and this is going to be cheesy, but I'm a big Bridget Jones Diaries fan, okay? I love journaling. I love books about journals. I love movies about writers and journals. And Bridget Jones, I actually wrote down the quote because she journals, and in it, she journals complaining about the guy that finds and reads it, and it seems like he's pissed off. There's no spoilers, or maybe there is, I don't know. But he walks out and she gets freaked out because she sees that he read her journal, and her quote was, after all, it's only a diary. Everyone knows diaries are just full of crap. And this is what I tell, like, my husband, he is able, my journals are out, I don't hide them. They sit next to the coffee table in a journal bag. And my husband knows, honestly, it started when we were teenagers, which we too have a weird open communication type thing, and everyone's different, but to me, what's mine is his, what's his is mine. I don't feel the need to check his phone, but if I grabbed it and there's no question, like, that's just how we choose to do life. Not everyone needs to do that. We just have I've known him since I was 14. He's my best friend. So we just share everything together, even if it doesn't feel good. So I have told him, and he knows, he is fully welcome to look at my journals. He is totally, that's why sometimes I'll open my journal and he'll have a love note written in there on the page that I'm supposed to be starting. But I also have prefaced that with, you do know this is a journal, and you do know this is how I process. So if you open this, you need to be prepared to see things that you may not want to see. He chooses not to read them currently. Like, he'll open and stick a letter where I'm supposed to write that day, a love note to me and things like that. But he knows that journals are meant to be full of crap. They're meant to process anger, process frustrations. They're not full of truths necessarily. I tried to end mine with truths, but okay, so talk about it with your hubby and family. Have a plan if you do pass, like, it can be a sister, it can be someone you trust that you say, come grab my journals and burn them. Take my journals, read through them, make sure there's nothing in them. You can say that if that is a fear of yours. Then one that I have used, not necessarily for protection over what I have written, but sometimes because I do write a lot. Let me show you what I do. Actually just started doing this season. So I haven't done this in the years past. I just started it because, mainly because I know that I'm sharing my stuff on Patreon, and I didn't want to share like just random bits. Also, I know that this year I'm going to use more journals than just composition books. I am in a comp book currently. It's almost full, and if I wasn't using what I'm going to show you guys, it would already be full and I'd be moved on to something different. So I knew that I wanted to keep everything in one place. I also, like if I'm keeping track of what I eat for the day, that doesn't need to be in my journal. But this is something you could do if you want to keep those venting things separate. And then you're not throwing away your entire journal. So I don't really care so much about the venting stuff, but like this, if I'm tracking, and here what I was doing this season is tracking my weight, because I have a goal. I am working on like a fitness goal. So I was tracking like the food I ate, the workout I did, my intermittent fasting stuff, the studies. This is not my study book, but in regards to getting older, intermittent fasting is it is one of the highest recommended things for women as they age. So I put my goals that day for a 16-8 intermittent fast when I ate, which I'm not going to keep that. Like, this is something that I don't really care to keep. If I do decide to keep it, do you know what I will do? And this is the reason I'm mentioning this is because you can do this with venting. So you can have your journal, you can have your morning mindset pages like I do, and I will be doing a flip through of this on Patreon in the Breath Tribe. Study Tribe gets a flip of my study books. I don't do that here because I don't feel as safe. With a lot of you, I feel 100% safe. I would totally share all the things with you. But there are certain people here that I don't feel safe with, and that's why I'm not putting it out for all the world to see. I have been wounded and had situations that happened. Anyways, so if you're someone who's afraid of the negative therapy stuff that you have to get out being found by your children, have your journal, and then when you feel angry, like you just need to like vent, have something like this that you do the venting in, and then when you're done, you can read through it and decide to stick it in. And obviously this is a comp book, so it will be taken out of this, and I will archive it by taking, sometimes it's a hairband. It's one of those like thin exercise bands that I will wrap around it, and it will stay together. But most likely, because this is a food journal, I'm just gonna chuck it and just archive this. You can do that. Let me show you what I have. This is my next journal, because I'll be finishing this at the end, like literally next week, because we're starting the spring journal. And the spring journal I'm using, I am not getting fancy. I'm using the Cafe Notes, but no, I'm not, because 2022, I'm not purchasing any other covers, and I don't have a B6 Slim cover, which I'm actually happy, because I really enjoy the fact that I'm using, my sister-in-law who lives in the Cayman Islands gave me this little zipper pocket. I used to keep tarot cards that my son gave me in here, oracle cards, but I've since moved them to a different case. And so what I'm keeping in here is the journal I'm going to be in for spring, which is, as I mentioned, I have my Cafe Notes, and then I have my throwaway. And I will be keeping my food journal and workouts and all of that in here. I can choose to either keep it or trash it. And that's what I'm recommending for you. There have been a lot of other great suggestions. Someone replied to Amanda and mentioned that you can paint over it and create an art journal. I think that is an amazing idea. But if you're not sure you want to throw it away, keep it somewhere separate. Keep it in something like this that you can get at Target. Like this came in a bundle of 3, and that's where I keep my weigh-ins. That's where I keep my food diary, all of that. And then it gives you a longer time to process whether or not you'd be okay, which all of my journals, normally, I don't have one in this actually, because I'm used to the pocket being in Bree's cover, but normally I keep a pocket in the back, and you can slide this into the pocket if you want, or just stick it in the middle and rubber band it. But that's what I would recommend. Those couple things. Have the conversations with someone that you trust, and tell them what you'd like to have happen to your journals when you pass. And there is nothing wrong with burning your journals. There is nothing wrong with burning your journals. Even if, to me, it's more important that you get the stuff out. So if it's a fear, burn it at the end of it. Don't wait till you pass. If you want to keep your stuff, maybe keep a lockbox with, you have the stuff that comes up, like, because I do just ramble about random stuff that's not super important, that, gaining clarity. But when you're angry or you're really doing therapeutic work, pull out one of these and put them all somewhere in a lockbox, that nobody's going to see unless you allow them to. And if you pass, you can either have them try to research how to get a key, or tell someone, hey, come to my house. There's a lockbox that I want you to go grab and throw away. But it gives you time to consider it and time to change your mind. I'm glad now that I never burned my journals when we took the RV trip, because I have healed from a lot of that past stuff that I went through. And now it doesn't trigger me to read my prayers and to read my notes on certain pastors that were preaching. That doesn't bother me now. Now I learn from it. So I'm glad my husband stopped me. So I definitely feel like having that separation and giving it time is important. I hope you found this helpful. Amanda, thank you so much for your comment. I loved it. And yeah, until next time, enjoy your wild, sexy lives.